This is Susanna Magenheimer, Random Artist 222. And the other day I did an Instagram post where I showcased this index card I did with this abalone effect. And I had a lot of people ask me if I could do a video showing how I created this. And this is this video. So to begin with, this is a new product that came out from Deco Art. It's called Galaxy Glitter, and I know I hate to say this, I am not a glitter girl. It gets everywhere. I just don't, it's just not my favorite medium to work with. But this stuff is so concentrated. When I saw these three colors, it was kind of like my white whale. I searched for a way to create abalone effect. So I start out with these three colors. I also embed into them these opals, ice resin opals, which, let me open this one because this one's definitely got that abalone-esque effect. And I'll leave that uncapped, as well as this one. And this one's silver opal, which definitely has an abalone vibe to it. And the other one, by the way, was sand opal. And then Brutus Monroe came out with this shimmer flakes in this beautiful, see how glitter gets everywhere? That's why. But you can see these beautiful glitter flakes that he has. And I don't know exactly the color of this one, but it's easy to find because he doesn't have that many colors yet on this stuff, and it's the pinkish one. So the first thing I do is I get a palette knife and I start popping these open. And just so you guys know, sometimes what I do when I know I'm going to be working with a lot of mediums, and I am on this card, there's 3 substantial mediums that I'll be using. I back the card, the index card, I just glue it onto either serial board or in this case, stencil board that you can purchase. And what I do is I just clean out the top. Now to me, abalone is more silvery in color than the other colors, so I won't be putting as much of these other colors on here because I want the silver to really shine through. I think I want a little more pink though. And you want this to have a lot of coverage. So that's what I start out with. And then I use my palette knife and I just smoosh it together. And can you see? Let me just do this really quick. The shine's a little hard to get, but can you see kind of like how it's already going abalone when you do these 3 colors? So what I do now is I bring out, like you're frosting a cake. Not that I've ever frosted a cake, I know, horror. But you want to get into all the edges. And you're going to get gaps in here, and that's okay, because that's where these other flakes are going to kind of go. So you're going to do that. Okay. I'll just clean this up really quick here. I can see I have a blob right there that I don't want. You want it as flat as possible. Okay, and then what I do is I take the little flakes and I just sprinkle them over like I would be salting something. I don't want like a pile of flakes anywhere. But I want to get them as much as possible in the open spaces that already have the glue from the glitter present, so it'll stick on there really nicely. And I get close up so you can see what I'm doing here. And you'll notice when you're using these pink Brutus Monroe flakes, how abalone-esque they are in them of themselves. As they land onto the paper, I can see with the light this beautiful purple. I wish I could catch it. Let me see if I can angle the camera this way. Yeah, see? Let's get closer here. You can see like those little highlights there of abalone kind of colors popping up. See right in there? And that's what you want. So now let me add a little bit of these other colors. I'm going to close this before I have an accident. And like I said, you don't want to plop them on so they're like a blob, because the whole point of getting the abalone effect is to have this really kind of thin layer of really cool pieces of glitter that are just going to reflect light really well. And again, I'm using the light to tell me where I need some more. Done right about there. Okay. All right, so now we're gonna just let this, I'm not gonna pat this or anything. It'll stick on there, believe me. So I'm gonna let that dry and come back to it for the next part. Okay, so last we left, I'm letting the Galaxy glitter that I applied with the ice resin opals to dry, and we're working on this project that you see here. The next part of the project is actually stenciling on these shells. And Liquitex puts out two what they call gloss super heavy gel. One's a matte super heavy gel, and one's a gloss super heavy gel. And we're going to be using the gloss for this one because we want to be able to see through to the underside where all the glitter is. And here's an example I did so you could see the difference. Let me get in there close up. See how matte that is? It's almost like it's iced. So that's that effect. And then when you do the gloss, see how transparent that is and shiny? And so I'll have the two of them together like that. But you can definitely tell the difference. So the gloss is what we're going to use now on this, which is now dried. And let me bring it up and see if I can even capture it on this. The abalone effect. So see all that? That's what I'm trying to capture. Okay, so now I'm going to grab the stencil. It's a Carabelle stencil called Phantasme, and don't ask me to spell it, but it's one of their newer ones, and it's this kind of shell effect that I loved. Kind of look like fossilized shells, and I'm just going to pick a place where I want these shells to go. I think I want to do it like that. Okay, and let's see if I can get this. I'm going to get a hard board. I have a little bit of a bow on my desk where it bows out, and on stenciling you want it as flat as possible. So I'm going to grab some tape. And for those of you who are new to stenciling, all stencils have what's called a flat side and an area where there will be a lip. And I don't know if I can show it to you on here or not, but let me just grab it like this. Okay, so this is laying flat. Okay, if I were to flip this, see now it creates, there's little shadows in here, and that's because it's creating a lip. So you want to use the side that does not have the lip. Now, because it has so many cutouts, the stencil itself is buckling a little bit, but, you know, the stuff is very, this gel is a very stiff gel, so I'm not too worried about that. And I always keep the little plastic thing, whatever you want to call it, the metal thing on it to keep it moist. And all you're going to do is grab some and start applying it, always in one direction. And personally, I like to start it off the stencil just a little bit. And I'm watching the light play here to see how it's applying. I don't actually need this to be perfection. I.e., you know, I don't care that I'm not covering every part of the shell, because part of this effect is the black paint that I'm going to be putting on here and how this glitter becomes its own texture. So, okay, so that's all I need of that. Clean off your spatula. And then very carefully, I'm going to raise this up. I'm just cleaning off the edges. And as you can see here, it's on there very nicely. So this is going to dry clear and see-through. So all this stuff that's underneath, you'll be able to see through the shell. So now we sit and wait again until this dries. Okay, so as you can see now, you don't see the super heavy gloss medium because it's gone transparent. And now comes the fun part. Before I show you that, I want to show you one thing I did was when I was applying the stencil, if you recall, I was applying this stencil through onto here. There was excess gloss medium on here. And what I did, and what I like to do, is take the excess off the stencil with a paper towel and just put it on another index card. And because it dries clear, let me bring this up so you can see. Because it dries clear, right, I'm able to pull back color and nothing's showing through on the bottom except the original index card color. And if you're curious what color this is from Lindy's Stamp Gang Moon Shadow Mist in Buccaneer Bay Blue. And there's some little subtle hints of blue in this spray, and it's one of my favorites. But look how antique-y and kind of like fossilized this looks. So cool. And that's just taking the little remnants of what was left on the stencil so you don't waste anything. So now the next part of this is applying what I call the magic. So, you know, either one of these paints works, any black paint, to be honest, as long as it's not really liquidy, because you want to be able to get that background nice and black. So this is the Adirondack Dauber from Ranger, and this is also Ranger's Dilutions in Black Marble. Which I'm going to go ahead and apply. So, something you want to make sure you have is a nice baby wipe handy and a paper towel to gently wipe back the areas where you want the color to show through. And I always do this in segments. So we're going to start here. And what's really interesting and fun about this, and something that I learned while I was playing, was that the glitter that's going to be covered up here, let's say, that's going to turn into its own texture. It's just high enough to do that. And let me just make things a little easier here. I'm going to take some of this. Oops. I just want to get this into the That's probably way more than I need, but I want to get this into the nooks and crannies, so I'm going to just use a brush. And like I said, do it in sections because, you know, at some point, if you don't remove it, it will dry onto the gloss surface and you won't be able to pull back that color. So now I'm going to take this, and you see that? Let me get close in. See how that's pulling away and leaving this beautiful opalescent effect? You don't want to over pull the color because then you're going to start picking up the black paint from below that is in between the segments, and you don't want to get that. And you want to do it with a little bit of a light touch, because if you go really hard on this, this is a gloss medium, right? So that means it's water soluble, and if you play with it too much, like right now I would switch over to the paper towel. Because if I put too much water onto this gloss medium, it's going to pull up from the bottom, and you don't want that. So you can see what I'm doing here? That's even making it pop even more. So I'm just gonna, and I can see from the light here that this is where my shell ends about. So I'm just putting enough liquid onto the gloss to see how some of that pulled off. So like I said, just make sure you get it all over yourself, because that's the name of the game. I just ran through the thing that was there. But what would a video of mine be without that happening? So I'm just gonna and you can feel like almost a plasticky feel of the gloss, so you know you're done. And I'm going to go back and just hit those pieces that came up just in the process of applying the liquid. And by the liquid, I mean what's the little bit of liquid that's on the wipe. But I want to show you close up here how this glitter turns into texture. See that? It's really cool and adds to the effect. Okay, so now I'm going to just finish this card really quick. And I'll let this speed up and you can just watch me. Okay, so this is going to take a few seconds to dry, and I'll come right back to it. I'm going to clean up. Okay, so now comes the last part of the process, but as you can see here, let me see if I can get you nice and close up. Look how beautiful and opalescent that's coming out. And it's even more insane in person, but it is coming through. So the last part of this is, on the original here, is creating this border, just to give it some perspective and dimension. And what I like to use is this new product, Matte Wax Patina Blue from Art Alchemy Prima. And you have to be really cognizant of the fact, two things. One, this is permanent when it dries, and it is it's a little hard to get off your fingers, so you need like a scrubby or something. I would not get it on my clothes and stuff like that, so don't wipe it on your shirt and go, and I'm just going to apply it just with a super light touch, because again, it's permanent. It's hard to, once you get this on here, to take it back, I guess is the best way to say it. You can initially for a few seconds take it back. But if I can get close up here, you can see, I'm losing my lighting here, sorry. But if you look here, you can see how all the little ridges and the little glitters and things are now picking up and other parts are not. So I'm going to go around the card. And again, it's your taste, so it's as little or as much as you want, but very little on my finger, because I want to have some control over this. In some parts like here, I really don't want to get the blue into my abalone shell, so I'm trying to be careful about that. A little bit more right there. And you can see me burnishing it into it, because when you first apply it, it's like really strikingly blue. And I don't want it like that. I want it muted, but still there. Okay, so always lid your products so that they last a long time. If you have a handy wipe, just get what you can off, and then, like I said, use a scrubby or something to get the rest of that off. But it will come off, so don't fear. Okay, so that's the project, and if you can see it with the blue now surrounding it, how beautiful that is. Look at those pinks. Look at that opal effect. Super Friend products, and I love the effect it created. And if you found this inspiring and helpful, please feel free to subscribe and like. It really makes a difference. And if you have any comments about or questions, I try to answer them, so feel free to leave those below in the comment section. Thanks so much, and have a great day.